Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about faction traits in Rome 2 and how they influence minor and major factions for the AI. I did some testing over the last few days and some of the results really surprised me, but before we get into those I would like to give you a nostalgic history lesson about minor factions in Total War and how the AI was using them basically. Real Total War fans will know that minor factions didn't even exist in the old days. Games like Rome and Medieval Total War didn't knew any minor factions at all. All the regions that didn't belong to these factions were owned by these major factions were owned by the region-specific rebels. These rebels didn't have, they didn't really behave as a faction and they were just waiting to be eaten by the real faction basically. Empire Total War introduced a clear difference between major and minor factions. Most of the major factions were playable, but the minor factions were not, never. In terms of gameplay, you could easily see the difference between these two types. Minor factions were basically completely passive. They are researching technologies, they are expanding their cities and they are recruiting units, but they would rarely declare war or attack a major or any other faction at all. This resulted in the fact that you never saw minor factions expanding. Sometimes you saw like a minor faction take one city, but that's it. No real empires. Major factions however were a lot more active. They would declare war everywhere, invade enemy regions and even colonize other continents. I'm currently playing a British campaign in Empire where the Marathas, like the Indian faction, and Austria both invaded America. Napoleon Total War was pretty much a remake and followed the same pattern of Empire concerning minor and major factions. Shogun 2 changed the system again. All the major factions were playable and the minors were not, but the behavior of those factions are a lot different. Minor factions are pretty much major factions without faction traits in Shogun. Their behavior is pretty much the same. They can be very active and aggressive, and there are enough campaigns when a minor faction could become the most powerful clan in the entire campaign. The difference between majors and minors in Shogun though, well, it's very small, but it isn't that bad because it fits the time period. The clans were basically very similar. Then we got a game this video will mainly be talking about, Rome 2. Rome 2 changed the system again. Minor nations are definitely active and aggressive, however they are less likely to form a major empire. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely possible, however you will see major factions form empires way more often. You can easily see that when you watch my campaign AI in action videos. These videos are basically time lapses which show you exactly what the AI is doing. A link to an example is on the screen right now. So the question is, what makes it so that major factions in Rome 2 perform a bit better than the minors? Both types get extra income and there aren't many other bonuses majors get except for better units. I decided to try out a test campaign with a mod that unlocks every faction in the game. That mod also adds unique faction traits for all the minor factions as you can see on the screen right now. I was extremely surprised to see what happened, and to show it to you guys I did a time lapse of 150 turns only using a mod that gives the minor factions unique faction traits. So give it a watch and be surprised. So hopefully you enjoyed that little time lapse, and as you can see, this is so different than a normal base game of Rome 2. Only adding faction traits changes the game completely for the AI. As I said, normally you would see major factions being the most dominant powers in the world. You could see that in my campaign AI in action videos as well. But look at this campaign after 150 turns. In the west, the world is dominated by Nova Carthago. These guys are getting destroyed pretty much every game, but not with some faction traits. Now they own almost entirety of Iberia. In the north we have the barbarian tribes, the Celtic Confederation, which only consisted of minor Celtic factions. The Insuberus is now the leader. Controls pretty much most parts of Gaul and a bit of Italy. The east. This is the most powerful faction right now in this campaign. Parteva controls pretty much the entire Middle East. This faction is also getting destroyed pretty much every single game. Rhodos did something, even though I did nothing with them. I didn't do any diplomatic things with them, so they did it all by themselves. Knossos even invaded this little territory. I don't know if you noticed that, but even Knossos did something, and that's just too insane for words, of course. You know Knossos. The IST is here. They start out over here normally. All those minor factions did pretty well, and of course there are some exceptions. The Egyptians did rather well, however they were almost destroyed in the beginning. The Athenians are doing quite well, and the Parthians are doing okay-ish, but all the other major factions are either destroyed or doing very badly, like Pergamon. We have Chimeria over here, Rome, Carthage, not doing that great, the Boii, decent enough. Iceni got destroyed. So as you can see, these guys have just completely taken over. So what I want to show you with this thing is a mod that changes what makes all the factions playable. Usually adds new traits for the minor factions as well, and that will change your campaign. The reason why you don't see like big major faction empires is because of the faction traits. I didn't know that faction trait matters this much, but the conclusion of this video is if you add faction traits to the minor factions, they will do extremely well. So the difference really between major and minor factions in Rome 2 in terms of AI strength and behavior is definitely faction traits. So hopefully you enjoyed this little video. Just want to point some things out. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I hopefully see you all next time. Bye bye.